Right now, there's a lot of talk going around the Honkai Star Rail community that HSR is entering power creep. Whether that be from the light cones, the characters, the new characters coming out, and any future characters coming out for that matter, or simply in-game mode and max rewards cannot be completed. I don't even know how to introduce myself. Bad take EO. I have EO takes, quote unquote. I'm here to tell you guys why power creep is basically a lie and it doesn't exist. But saying it that way sounds a little harsh, so let me explain.
But on a real note, HSR is becoming what we all knew it was going to become, which is have this character or you lose. And it kind of sucks. It's a shame, but it really is getting to that issue where have this character for this game mode or you lose. Or you don't get max rewards, right? It's pretty irritating. Happens if you release 2 characters every patch. Is what it is. If you disagree, I would love to know why.
What you guys just heard was a clip from Tectone, which pretty much originated this entire conversation, which I personally think this discussion is a really good topic to have. And I mean that genuinely for a number of reasons. But TLDR, it's good because it'll open the eyes of a lot of new players in the community, as well as some of the players who would consider themselves veterans that think they're doing something great and then they're not doing something great. And I have examples for that. I want to break this down into a couple of categories, a couple being maybe like 4, 5, pretty sure it's 5. Those categories being free-to-play / low-spending casuals. This one actually came from Tectone. The community's blatant problems, gotta add an S after that. Vertical versus horizontal investment, something that the community sucks at doing. Then the EO take, power creep, isn't real. And then lastly, I'm gonna wrap all this together in some examples of practicing exactly what I preach. So without further ado, let's kick this off. We're gonna start with free-to-play / low-spending casuals, which to be fair, this might sound a little aggressive, but I don't mean it that way. I'm a nice guy. I'm not. Anytime someone says they're a nice guy, dude, they're not a nice guy. Just, yeah. Off rip, casual players should expect casual results. There is no if, and, or buts about that one statement. Putting in casual work gets you casual results. Obviously, there's going to be that one outlier that says something along the lines of, well, actually, I've played the game for 1 hour a day, every day. I have pulled every single character on the first 10 pull, by the way, and they're E6, all of them. I actually have every single light cone in the game, and I can clear anything on auto. Day 1, free to play, by the way. And to that I say, fuck. But on a serious note, ignoring that, there is no feasible reason anyone should be thinking if I put in the least amount of effort, I deserve the maximum amount of rewards for everything in the game. It's literally just greed and FOMO combined in one. From that point, we can actually move on to the free-to-play audience, which I will separate from the low spenders just for a moment. The concepts of what I'm about to speak on are about the same, but spenders have money to fix their mistakes. As a free-to-play, it is 100% up to you on whether or not you can progress through in-game or not in HSR. Some things are not your fault, like losing a 50-50, but it is your fault when you lose that 50-50 because you were building pity on a banner you didn't need. As a free-to-play, your resources are the most important thing in the game. Most of you that are vocal about this, at the very least, are also vocal about how you either A, don't know what to do so you're just doing anything, or B, don't care about meta and you pull for what you want. These are what we call waifu hunters. Now, for as many times that I've said this, Honkai Star Rail is not Genshin Impact. How many times do I need to repeat? Even when Zenless comes out, Zenless Zone Zero is not Genshin Impact. Some of the thought processes, the mentality that we have from Genshin Impact have bled their way into other gacha game communities. And I promise you, it's only Genshin Impact that those things are normal. Other gacha games, it's not normal. Star Rail showed us this in the first month of all the creators getting to MOC for their very first time, that this was not that type of game. Now, I've preached to the heavens about why light cones are important and how beneficial they are. Not even just signature light cones. And a loud number of you continue to be adamant about not doing it. You don't want to pull on the light cone banner. You don't want to get light cones. You don't want to go out of your way to do whatever it is. You just want characters. And I go over this further in the next segment, but you guys have an addiction and you do not want the cure. Where'd my light go? A number of players just want to collect waifus or husbandos, and that part's cool. Stop complaining about how you can't put Welt on the team with Imagine Dragon and then clear content. Some of you still don't understand how to play the game, let alone build a team, and you insist that the game is easy to just click left skill here, do this skill here, and then do ultimate when button go flash. For the last 4 patches, I've proven multiple times how the enemies were getting stealth buff, metas were shifting, and the game was quickly moving away from just hypercarry team comps. I gave solid advice on what to do to prepare, even if you already weren't. And those of you who listened are always telling me how I drastically helped your account. Thank you for that. The rest of you who could just not fathom that I knew what I was talking about started the whole bad take EO nonsense. But to round this category off, low spenders. You guys practically have zero excuse beyond just not knowing what you're doing. You're not investing properly, or you have horribly bad luck like me, which leads me into my next subject, the community's blatant problem. You gotta add an S. For months, you guys have been lied to, and it's become worse for new players who entered the game in version 2.0. Earlier this year, I released a video explaining how HSR was becoming more akin to Genshin Impact in regards to team building, where it would be more about the physical archetype / team comp and less about putting 3 harmonies on one team than buffing 1 DPS. Now, a loud amount of the community has been telling players that hypercarry is the best way to play the game, and most of the time, the only way you should play the game, due to supports being easy to build, quote unquote, and shared amongst teams. That is a primary reason you see so many claims about if you don't have X character, you cannot do ABC. Players don't even know their 4-star options or how to build whatever team archetype they want, simply because there is a lack of research and misinformation shoved down their throat the moment they turn on the game. I started a brand new free-to-play account just before version 2.0 arrived in order to fully take on the free-to-play experience. By the end of 2.1, I was able to fully complete both an Acheron team and an IPC emergency team with 1 signature light cone for Acheron. At that time, I completed MOC up to 12 as well as Pure Fiction, max rewards before putting a pause on the account due to Wuthering Waves coming out. Now for me, it was a good challenge, but still doable with good investment. Mind you, I lost 3 50/50s during the entire process, preventing me from getting anybody else's signature light cones. My point is that I've practiced what I've preached just to make sure I wasn't telling y'all some bullshit that you couldn't achieve. Gacha players have an addiction to pulling the new shiny toy instead of making sure the last shiny toy they just bought remains shiny. Zila, Silverwolf, even Himiko or Claire are basically phase 1 units and are still some of the most downplayed units by the community. To this day, Zila clears any form of content competitively against what you think are the top 5 DPS characters, and you still have people telling you she has fallen off. She's a bad character, worst DPS. She's obviously not the worst DPS in the game, but you get my point. Silver is a literal walking cheat code, and she has people advising you to skip her anytime she has a rerun. Himiko is a standard character that many of you have lost a 50/52, yet less than 5% of the player base know how to play the character properly and understand her role. Meanwhile, she fits in now 3 distinct team roles, stomps on 2 in-game modes consistently, and the current MOC for free. Most of the excuses here aren't that you don't have something, it's that you don't want to use it, and for that, we get into vertical versus horizontal investment, which is honestly really easy to explain. TLDR, both of these should be utilized throughout your account, but not at the same time. Earlier, I mentioned how players just make really poor investments like hypercarry everything or only dill pickle. And while those are typically bad decisions, they do have some benefits through vertical investment. Vertical investment means you build onto a set team or archetype, which is perfect for MOC, any of it, doesn't matter. This is what allows many players, free-to-play or spenders, to brute force content. And you're probably gonna hear that term a lot, or you've already seen that term get used a lot. Characters like Dill Pickle, Jing Liu, even Acheron, all have some form of brute forcing their way through things, and it's a big reason why a lot of people say, hey man, this character's top tier, one of the top tier DPSs, best DPS in the game, because they brute force off elemental content. So a great example of these characters would be an E2 Dill, an E2 Acheron, or even an E2 Firefly. These specific characters are so strong that you just don't need anything else. But one, this isn't me saying only these 3 are good to vertically invest in, and 2, I'm not promoting you to E2 anything. What I am encouraging is building onto a set team near completion, then moving on to another team, and that in itself is significant significantly more beneficial than collecting every fucking thing that shows up in the banner. This is also why I don't agree that 2 characters a banner are a problem. I think it's only a problem for addicts. Let's briefly refer back to Zila, who needs some of the least vertical investment possible. E0S0 Zila is easily one of the best DPSs in the game by a long shot. Her kit stands the test of time, and building a team around her makes it so that you will always have at least her and the team to clear something. And again, specifically with her. Adding S1 or even E1 improves that process by taking away some of the grind in your relic farming. Now you start the process of the team. Do you want Sparkle, Bronya, Robin? Take your pick. Next, grab a Ting Yun and get a great sustain. Silverwolf can help guarantee quantum weakness, but we've already proven Zila kinda doesn't care if they're weak or not. There you have it, you're done. Now once this team is complete, instead of adding another fucking DPS that's going to share the exact same units, a smart player would build an entirely new archetype to begin their horizontal investment. DOT, Break, Acheron, Freeze, whatever it is. Your job for your own account is to figure out what the best course of action is to hit as many targets as possible for as long as possible. You do not have to pull every character, signature light cone, or farm the perfect relics. You just need to make smarter investments with the time you choose to give the game. And finally, we get into the true EO take of today's video. Power creep is not real, and I mean that with my whole ass chest. Power creep? Real power creep? That's a game like Fire Emblem Heroes, where they quite literally release one character 1 month and then the very next character replaces them plus someone else entirely. When a character becomes completely unusable, when an entire game mode becomes unclearable based off this character, when this entire team archetype is just straight up irrelevant, that's when we have actual power creep in the game. Honkai Star Rail making the game more in your face about building archetypes is not power creep. In fact, I think it's a really good way at getting you to explore more of the game's mechanics. There is nothing in the game currently that requires you to have X string of characters or you cannot clear it. Now, I do believe there are must pulls, 3 to be exact, but by no means does it equal you can't clear something without them. These are my must pull decisions and what I believe are must pulls because what I value in the game. And those must pulls being justified because they create an easy way out for the lacking players. I'll list them, but I'm not gonna go over them in this video because it's already long enough. I'm gonna release a whole separate video explaining later on my reasonings, but the characters being Ruanmei, Silverwolf, and Acheron or Firefly. Those are the only characters in the game I consider a must pull currently. The latter meaning you can pick your poison since both aren't needed, you just need one. At this point, if you've made it to the end of the video or if you just skipped here, I've got a multitude of examples that I want to show off. All of this sprang from the tweet that I made using a video quote from Techie about Honkai Star Rail. Shortly after that, Tectone wanted to make sure that I was considering his stance on the issue was from the largest demographic of players. Those players being free-to-play or low-spending casuals who do not have Giga Sweat relics and every signature light cone. For that reason, I went into Apocalyptic Shadow, which is the origin of this entire quote and where all this came from. And following his criteria, as well as some even more strict ones, I took on the challenge. I limited myself to only 2 limited banner characters per team, or what could be available to a majority of free-to-play players. Only 1 signature light cone per team, and at most 1 Eidolon, regardless of it being limited or standard. Though all of my units are E0S0 except Silverwolf. I chose her E1 for this because it provided the least value against this specific limit test. This way, I could provide examples for both vertical and horizontal investment without stretching the limit. As of June 14th, 2024, over 99.8% of players own Dr. Ratio, which allowed me to consider him for the team. Himiko is the second most owned standard banner character, sitting just under 80%. So I chose her based on statistics. Now I can build my teams. First up was Silverwolf, paired with Dr. Ratio, Sui Yi, and Aventurine. I originally cleared with Topaz and Ratio, but then I realized all of them on the same team were missing damage and I was still using 3 limited banner characters, which I didn't want to do. Silver was my unit of choice because she gives Ratio his debuffs, forces weakness implant on anything. She also gets her ultimate fairly quickly with or without E1 and does a big chunk on toughness meter without Mei, which was crucial to what I was getting at, or rather the thing that I was proving with this particular team. After that, I picked up Sui Yi instead of a Harmony buffer because most buffers in this mode are just ass. You gain nothing from buffing damage when the enemy has almost 100% resistance plus elemental lockout mechanics if you take too long. I needed a strong sustain and units that could provide decent to high damage on their own without a Harmony unit. Sui Yi's incredible niche at colorless breaking is a godsend here, and the best part of my choice is that she's free. Adventuring being my second choice for my limited banner character, as well as my sustain, making this super easy due to the endless shields, and it allowed me to focus on beating down weaknesses as fast as possible. Throughout all of this, there was another team that I tried and found some success with, using Zila and Bailu. Under the same exact conditions of this limit test, I used this team, and while I did clear it, I didn't clear it in a timely fashion due to Bailu not having any form of cleanse. On paper, the team still worked, but because Bailu just allowed everyone to get frozen or imprisoned, it made it that much longer. Like, I didn't die because she's like goated at healing, but she also allowed my team to pretty much get CC'd at least 60 times, and I wasn't gonna show that off. Now, once I got used to the run, it became smooth enough for me to recreate multiple times. Sui Yi and Zila worked amazingly together, and Silverwolf made it so that I could force resurgence triggers whenever I wanted, or flat out interrupt Japard before getting his shields off, which is a big part of the game. Coco wasn't even the biggest problem either, it was him. For the next side, I knew I was gonna have fun with this one. Ruan Mei, Gallagher, Himiko, and Harmony MC. I really wanted to show off hybrid Himiko, and boy did she do work. Her Robot Jones talent flat out wiped the shields with ease, and because of HMC, whenever they were broken, she hit for like 50k a tick. Mei was chosen because because Mei. I really shouldn't have to explain why I picked Mei. If I did need a reason, it's because she's currently on the banner, and I wanted another reason to show people why she's practically my choice for the #1 must pull if it existed. But that doesn't mean you need her. I even fact checked this by using Asta instead of Ruan Mei. Now, if you notice, my Himiko barely has over 100% break effect. Mei gave her a big boost, helped delay enemies to stay broken for longer, and even put in her own stacks of damage by breaking the ice shield. For my sustain, Gallagher is just that guy. There's zero reason none of you shouldn't be building him. He is quite literally the best free healer in the game, and his Eidolons only make him more busted. Gallagher plus Himiko alone was enough to smash through Argenti's shields, which is why I said earlier I really didn't need Mei. And that's why I'm like, I could have just added another Harmony unit like Asta or Robin, but why would I do that when the break team is one of the most perfect comps currently in the game? Not even because of the damage output, it's just good. All of them are very synergistic. Replacing one break DPS character with another break DPS character takes the least amount of effort compared to doing this with any other DPS. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't even know if that's a pun. So after all that was said and done, this was fun as fuck. I enjoyed the challenge a lot, and I think Apocalyptic Shadow brings some serious heat to the table because it's basically its own meta. You cannot play this in-game mode the same way you play MOC or even Pure Fiction. All of these little buffs, notes, and enemy patterns changing the way the enemies work, all of that matters. When you do what significantly helps you clear fast or slow, and how you build the team is significantly important too. The definition of fuck around and find out. To wrap Apocalyptic Shadow up, here are some recommendations for the current Stormwind Night phase that I've tested and cleared over 3,300 points with. Firefly, Boot Hill, Sushan, Sui Yi, Japard, Pela, Silverwolf, Acheron, Himiko, Ratio, Topaz, Argenti, Zila, Jingyuin, Asta, Bronya, and a lot more. Moral of the story is that the game is not the problem, and pulling certain characters is also not your problem. Obviously, you can make an argument for one character being Ruan Mei, but I proved it both times, and I've proved it in any other video. You don't need Mei to clear content. Mei just makes it super fucking easy for people who lack the ability to do things in the game. Now, respectfully, because this originated from Techie, you have a busted ass account, brother. For a free-to-play plus player, you got a lot, big dog. You do. I think, realistically, I don't think it's characters that you're having issues with. I think right now it's simply time invested. I know you do a lot. I know you are a great creator and you're always on stream. You be in the gym and you be taking care of yourself. You got to have that personal time. You don't have time to be playing Star Rail all day, which you don't need to play it all day. That's fine too, but you get my point. Point being is that with a little bit more investment or proper guidance, stop listening to your Twitch chat, please. You can clear whatever you want. You have all the characters that you need to clear, bro. You have Acheron, for goodness sake. And then you just get Firefly. There's zero reason. You don't have an excuse, but it is what it is. Anyhow, guys, let me know if you enjoyed today's video. Do leave a like, comment down below. This is another big boy video that I did not plan on making, but I think it just sprung up after seeing everything because, again, this discussion was really good. I really enjoyed having this type of like think piece going on with this particular topic, and I would love if we had more topics like this in the community. Not even just Star Rail. Bro, when Zillions comes out, catch me outside because I'm arguing with everybody, dog. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Smell you later.